During World War II, Irwin Stovroff enlisted to serve with the U.S. Army Air Corps, where he was trained as a bombardier to fight Nazi Germany in Europe. With the rank of lieutenant, he was assigned to fly in a B-24 bomber. Irwin flew many dangerous missions, including raids on Berlin, but on his last mission, his life changed.
And on my 35th final mission, it was final, I was shot down. I was shot down over France. Our number 1 and number 2 engine were on fire. Immediately, hydraulic system failed, everything was bad, and we all had to bail out because the plane was going to blow up.
After parachuting out of his burning plane, he was captured and sent deep into Germany to a concentration camp near the Baltic Sea. His situation got worse when the Germans were in retreat and losing the war.
In my case, it changed in February of '45 when Hitler decided that all Jews were to be killed, including American officers, American regular enlisted men.
After a period of segregation with other Jewish POWs, Irwin was liberated by Russian Cossacks. He came home, and after being successful in the furniture business, he retired at the age of 75. Irwin was not ready to slow down. He started helping other POWs with their compensation claims and also volunteering with his service dogs, Cash and Jenny, sharing their love with other veterans.
Oh my goodness.
What you doing?
Yes, a good dog, a good dog. Yes,
Yes, an idea you like it.
When Irwin was told that the government didn't provide funding to train service dogs for veterans, he decided to form a nonprofit organization called Vets Helping Heroes. With donations from private individuals and institutions, Vets Helping Heroes has financed the training of highly selected dogs with many specialties to help our young veterans with their needs. Lieutenant Colonel Kathy Champion served in the U.S. Army with distinction for over 27 years.
When I was in Iraq, I contracted a virus that I was not aware of because I was treating the local Iraqis with minor medical issues, and when I returned to the United States, I was doing fine, but within a year's time, the virus had started to attack my spinal cord and my vision. So I became a hermit of my own house. I quit school, I quit my job, I quit being social. I didn't want to talk to anybody, I didn't want to tell anybody what was wrong.
Many of Kathy's friends suggested a guide dog, and after some hesitation, she applied for one. A couple months later, she had a dog.
And when she came into the room and she came up to me, she was all excited and she was butt-tucking and she was licking, not licking me, she was just doing the things that dogs do, and she rolled over and let me pet her belly and everything, and she was like all happy. And the rest of that day, it was like, I have a dog. My life has been changed immensely by Angel. She has granted me back the life that I felt like was taken away from me because of my war injuries. Angel is more than a member of my family. She is my partner for life. And she has taught me to trust in 4 legs. And that in itself is a humongous accomplishment for me.
Chad Deppner is a Navy electronic technician. He has been with the U.S. military for 16 years. After being deployed to Iraq and Kuwait for a year, working in a bomb disposal unit, his life changed when he came home. His wife Connie noticed the changes first.
And then after he got back, he didn't ever want to go out with friends. That he really liked these friends, but he never wanted to go do anything. He was even not interacting with me. I mean, it was almost a couple of years of being ignored, and you don't know where that comes from. So that was pretty hard.
After I'd noticed that I was having problems with anger issues, just outbursts over the slightest provocations. I was having issues at work, I was having issues at home, and finally decided I needed to get help, and that's when when I was diagnosed with PTSD.
Chad was treated with countless medications that made his situation worse. It took months before he found good doctors to provide therapy sessions.
He finally started kind of breaking out of that and being himself again. But the day that they brought Laura Lee, the service dog, in for that session, that day alone was like a switch. He sent me pictures from his iPhone of her and was just all excited about this dog and actually smiling about things, and it was awesome.
And so I began researching it further. And that's where I came across the Southeastern Guide Dogs Paws for Patriots program.
After applying for a service dog, Chad was approved and received a dog named Chansey. He spent 26 days training with his dog at the campus of the training facility in Florida. A few weeks later, back home in Virginia, Chad's life has been changed by his new service dog.
As soon as, literally the day he brought Chansey home, it was like, oh my gosh, Chad's back.
My daily life, I think, has improved considerably. I'm getting out a lot more. We're doing things. I'm not just sitting at home alone.
I think that Chad getting Chansey has been a life-changing event.
Chad doesn't have to take medications to sleep, and when he has a nightmare, his faithful companion will lick his hands to wake him up. For nonprofit organizations like Vets Helping Heroes, it is essential to keep the donations coming to finance the breeding, selection, and training of healthy dogs. Master Sergeant Mark Guatme is a proud Marine who has served our nation for 21 years all over the world. His last deployment was in Iraq, where he served 3 tours in a combat unit. The exposure to mortars and improvised explosive devices in combat left him with serious medical problems. His wife, Carolyn, remembers those terrible years.
There were times where he couldn't walk, he couldn't talk, he didn't know who he was, he didn't know who I was. We got several diagnoses. We got post-traumatic stress, we got seizure disorder, reflex sympathetic dystrophy for his nerve pain in his feet, we got nerve damage. The list of diagnoses went on and on.
As the years passed, Mark's health deteriorated. His wife complained to his superiors, and he was transferred to a different hospital. They also began considering the possibility of getting him a service dog. They applied to get one, and with funds provided by Irwin's organization, Mark was approved to receive a dog named Larry.
I credit Larry with not only giving Mark back his life, but with saving Mark's life. There was several times that I've had the guns removed from our house, I've had the knives removed from our house. I never knew what day I was going to come home, but I was pretty sure I was going to come home and he had killed himself because it was so dark and it was so miserable for him. And as much as I loved him, as much as our family loved him, as much support as we all gave him, it wasn't enough. And it's not a failing on our part, it just wasn't enough. And Larry gave him that. Larry gave him whatever humans couldn't. And I credit with Larry with having him by my side. One of the things that brought Larry to us is all the wonderful people that donate to the nonprofit organization, particularly Irwin Stovroff, who is one of the most amazing men I've ever met in my life. This is a man that survived World War II. He survived getting his plane shot down. He survived being Jewish in a POW German camp. I mean, this man has a story to tell like nobody else. And I think in instances like that, you can take your life and you can dwell on all the horrible things that happened to you, or you can turn it around and say, I survived. Life is good. Let me see what I can do for others. And I think Irwin has dedicated himself to future veterans that followed him. And without him, I don't know how many veterans would be Larry-less. You know, my theory is everybody needs a Larry. Every veteran, as a matter of fact, every American needs a dog to make life better.
Be leave us blessed with every breath that cost you arms and legs and death. You did the job you knew was right, and silently you cry at night for bodies maimed and comrades lost, for sights beyond our furthest thoughts, for what you've lived and felt and seen, for what the cost of freedom, freedom